Hello, BookTube. This evening I want to do two more top 10 lists. My top 10 superheroes and supervillains. Let's get going because this could get a bit long. So at number 10 for superheroes is Jericho. Jericho was a mainstay of the Teen Titans in the 1980s and early 1990s. The Teen Titans are a team of young superheroes from DC Comics, one of the two major superhero comic book publishers, the other being Marvel. The Teen Titans originated as a gathering of sidekicks. In the 60s, a number of DC's marquee superheroes had teenage sidekicks, most famously Batman's Robin. The team I think, disbanded for a while. I'm not entirely sure about the early history of the Teen Titans, but in about 1980, the Teen Titans were brought back with a number of the original team members as well as several new ones. Jericho wasn't one of these initial new members. He joined a few years after the new Teen Titans began during the Judas Contract storyline, where the supervillain Deathstroke initiated a plan to take out the Teen Titans by having a mole in the team turn against them and take them out. All of the team was captured except for Dick Grayson, who was Robin at the time and was on the outs with Batman. And during this storyline, he adopted the code name Nightwing and joined up with Deathstroke's ex-wife, who introduced Dick Grayson to her, or Nightwing, to her son Joseph, who, as Jericho, has the ability to possess people through eye contact. And when I first read that storyline years ago, I absolutely loved Jericho's character. I thought he was an amazing addition to the Teen Titans. Sticking with the Teen Titans for number 9 is Raven. Raven was one of the founding members of the second iteration of the Teen Titans. In fact, she is the reason why this team formed in the first place. Raven is the daughter of Trigon, a demon from another dimension who sought to conquer Earth. Raven opposed her father and gathered a team of superheroes to fight Trigon. Initially, she sought the aid of the Justice League, but ended up forming or reforming the Teen Titans with Dick Grayson, Wonder Girl, or Robin, Wonder Girl, Kid Flash, Beast Boy, Cyborg, and Starfire. And Raven is just an amazing character. At number 8 is the White Queen, Emma Frost. I know she's also a villain, and in fact, my favorite storyline with her is of her as a villain. But to be honest, Emma Frost has been a superhero far longer than she's been a villain. She's been around for 40 years now, and while about the first 12 or so years, she was a villain as a member of the Hellfire Club, a social club of the wealthy and powerful who gather to make deals, peddle influence, that sort of thing. She was a member of the Inner Circle, the secret ruling council of the Hellfire Club, which was composed of mutants in the Marvel universe. But she eventually became a superhero in the 90s, first as the headmistress with the team called Generation X. and later joining the X-Men proper during the destruction of Genosha. And she's pretty much been an X-Men for the past 20 years. So yeah, she's very much a hero and she's pretty awesome. And number 7 is back to DC with Green Lantern. And now I'm not talking about Hal Jordan, I'm talking about Kyle Rayner. So in the 90s, DC seems to have had a kick for getting rid of a number of their marquee superheroes. They killed Superman, they broke Batman's back, they replaced Wonder Woman, and they drove Hal Jordan insane. And he became the supervillain Parallax. He slaughtered the rest of the Green Lantern Corps. The Green Lanterns are basically a space police, patronized by the Guardians of Oa. When Hal Jordan went insane, he basically killed all of the other Green Lanterns, killed the Guardians, save for one, and this lone Guardian, Ganthid, managed to recover one power ring and went to Earth to select a new Green Lantern, which just happened to be Kyle Rayner, a young artist who I read the first chunk of his time as Green Lantern, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was phenomenal. Not without controversy. There's a lot of controversy with Kyle Rayner's early years as Green Lantern, but I really he is my favorite Green Lantern by far. At number 6, it's back to Marvel with the Scarlet Witch. She's an amazing superhero who has, for the past several decade and a half, she's been done dirty by Marvel, which is pretty much what happens when you have the most powerful character on a super team is a woman. The same things happened to Raven, and it's most famously happened to Jean Grey. But the Scarlet Witch is one of my favorite characters. And number 5 is Storm of the X-Men. She is definitely my favorite X-Men, and how Wolverine became the most famous, I don't know. But anyway, number 4 is Wonder Woman, one of the big 3 at DC. She's always been one of my favorites. I don't remember if I ever actually subscribed to her comic or not, but I remember collecting quite a large number of her comics in the 90s. Although the 90s were not necessarily one of her better periods. Again, DC's never really quite known what to do with her. She'll have some really good runs. She had a great one, I think, in the 80s up to like War of the Gods, and then it kind of fell, and then it sort of declined, and then it came back, and yeah. But I really enjoyed the New 52, the first part of the New 52 with Brian Azzarello and Cliff Chiang. I thought that run was amazing and really added a lot to the character. Although I think most other fans probably would vociferously disagree with me on that. At number 3 is Robin, not Dick Grayson, Tim Drake. I am a kid of the 90s, and so obviously with like Kyle Rayner. So my Robin is Tim Drake, who is actually the most successful one when it comes to having a solo title. He had one for more than a decade. And yeah, and he's just an amazing character who I was just drawn to the first time I encountered him in the Nightfall Saga. And I collected quite a few years worth of his solo title, I think. And I just, what was done to him in the New 52 still infuriates me. The New 52 was not kind to him, or the Teen Titans for that matter. I think he's kind of recovered since then, but I don't know. I haven't really kept up as much with DC Comics as I would have liked. At number 2 is Spider-Man. Spider-Man has been a favorite of mine growing up, although I'm not entirely sure what I make of the more recent Spider-Man stuff. But I definitely loved his comics in the 80s and into the 90s before that craptacular Clone Saga started. So yeah. And then number 1 is Wiccan, Billy Kaplan. He is a mainstay of the Young Avengers. He's a reality warper with hints of magic. He's the somehow or other reincarnated son of the Scarlet Witch. It's complicated and a bit soap operatic. But again, he has so much potential as a character, and Marvel just never really does anything with him, or the rest of the Young Avengers for that matter. But I mean, just do so much, and there could be so much done with him over the 15 or so years since he was created, and they just never did it. It's infuriating. So moving on to the villains, I had a hard time with this list, but I quite like it. At number 10 is Anarchy by so Anarchy is a young criminal who is rather like Tim Drake, in that he's really smart, he's strategic, but in Anarchy's case, he is political, and his politics have driven him to crime, as in opposition to society and to Batman. And I remember what cemented him as one of my favorite villains, even though I haven't really read a whole lot with him, is that there was a 2-issue story arc in Shadow of the Bat featuring him that is just absolutely heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking. At number 9 is Brother Blood. He is one of the long-running enemies of the Teen Titans, who leads a cult that I quite enjoyed his sort of appearances in the Teen Titans. At number 8 is the Joker, Batman's arch nemesis, who is just, when he appears, it's an event. At number 7 is the Riddler, another one of Batman's villains. I've always really enjoyed reading his appearances. At number 6 is Dr. Octopus. He's a Spider-Man villain. And there's this one story I read that's sort of like an origin, sort of a deep dive into his life, and it is just amazing. And I really enjoyed what I read of Superior Spider-Man. So number 5 is Clarion the Witch Boy. He's which it's not so much from the comic books. I've never really read much of Clarion from the comics, but more the adaptations, where he's a much bigger threat, a much more powerful threat. At number 4 is Poison Ivy. Again, back to Batman. She is one of my favorites. Just every time she's amazing. Number 3 is Catwoman. She is one of the few comics that I actually subscribed to when I actively collected comics in my teens, and I really, really enjoyed that run. Number 2 is Circe. She's one of Wonder Woman's arch enemies, and her run on War of the Gods was amazing, and I've enjoyed her first appearance as well. And then my favorite supervillain is Selene. She's one of the X-Men's villains. She was a member of the Hellfire Club as the Black Queen. And again, for the oldest mutant and one of the most powerful mutants, she's never really gotten her due. I mean, she's really never had a number of runs where she's the main antagonist, where she's the big bad of a story arc. And she really needs some more than just Necrotia. But anyway, so that's my top 10 superheroes and supervillains. Now I'm going to go check and see what that text was and go and upload this and go watch some more YouTube. And I don't know if I'll be back tomorrow with a video. I don't know what my schedule is going to be, but I will definitely be back on Friday with weekly reads. And so until then, BookTube, thank you. Have a great Thanksgiving if you celebrate Thanksgiving, and I will see you hopefully tomorrow, and if not, then on Friday. So until then, thank you and stay safe.